Hello, I'm Mike Ruppert, and welcome to CollapseNet. It has been conventional wisdom that those who understood and warned of the reality of peak oil and the collapse of industrial civilization were merely a few isolated oddball individuals scattered diffusely in the population of this deeply troubled planet. As with so many of the things that have been woven into our psyches with the pressure and the power of mass media, that belief was a lie. So-called mainstream corporate-owned media trading shares in a totally corrupt and diseased economic model have had, since their creation, a vested interest in perpetuating belief in and servitude to an infinite growth paradigm, a pyramid scheme. In order to do that, the media have had to accomplish two critical tasks, the second of which was not fully understood until the release of Blue Mark Films' 2009 documentary, Collapse. The first task, however, was to conceal the ugly truths about economic corruption, overconsumption, and peak oil, so that increasing numbers of new consumers could be born and lured into the bottom levels of the con game, without any regard for what the future might hold for them. The paradigm never mentioned that it would never be able to feed or provide basic necessities for these generations. The second priority was to, wherever possible, persuade or coerce individuals who saw the lie in the infinite growth model into believing that they were isolated, alone, and in need of psychiatric treatment or ostracism or punishment. Between 2008 and today, April of 2010, two significant events have taken place to change that picture. First, the 2008 economic crash and the increasingly evident failure of industrial civilization have wounded or killed some of the cherished sacred cows of human belief. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is proof, and it has become more profitable to kill, destroy, or undermine our quality of life than it is to improve it. Publicly traded corporations do rule the world. Using the compass points of peak oil in a universal and irredeemably corrupt economic system, along with the failures and imminent failures of economies, nations, governments, and lifestyles, it has become clear that there exists a proven and reliable predictive model to generally, and in some cases specifically, analyze, understand, and forecast how collapse is and will manifest. Although our map is not a physical map on a wall, we call it the map because it does what a map should do. The map allows us to see and understand what events have passed and, given our course and speed, to see what landmarks are soon to be coming into view. If refined enough, it can, in some cases, reveal a safe passage through difficult or otherwise impassable terrain. And who is this we that I refer to? Human industrial civilization is like the Titanic, once believed to be unsinkable and marketed as such. It has been fatally wounded by the iceberg of population growth, environmental destruction, species extinction, resource depletion, and peak oil. We, here at CollapseNet, are lifeboat builders, and we hope to assist and teach others how to build lifeboats so that as many as possible can be saved from the sinking ship. We recognize that we have a short amount of time left before the ship goes under, and we recognize that it will not be possible to save everyone, perhaps even most. We are not concerned with the political or religious views of those who will build or occupy these lifeboats. We do not care about the color of their skin, whether they are conservative or liberal, or where they live. When this is over, there will be no blacks or browns or whites. There will be no socialists, communists, or capitalists, or anarchists. There will only be survivors. The ultimate survivors have not been born yet. CollapseNet considers itself to be their advocate, and the earth they will come to inhabit can neither be envisioned or described as we make this tape. CollapseNet does not and will not debate with anyone at any time whether collapse is happening or not. CollapseNet has no interest in educating those who do not understand this crisis. We will provide links to my books and many of the great works by so many who have predicted and described what is happening today and will be happening tomorrow. All we can say is that you ignore such a well-established record of prediction and analysis since the late 1940s at your own risk. If you disagree with us, then all we ask is that you leave us alone. Because when your time comes, we will try to have a lifeboat seat available for you too, if you're willing to become part of a local community to pay for your seat. Of the many scientists, journalists, scholars, business people, and government officials who have warned of collapse since the late 1940s, I have perhaps the best predictive record across energy, economic, political, governmental, and military affairs. I was the first to link peak oil to 9/11. I was the first, and am pretty much still the only one, to describe, record, and predict how peak oil interacts with a corrupt economic system. Since 1998, my record has been estimated by many as being 80% accurate. I've never kept score. It doesn't matter to me whether it's 70 or 90%. Ted Williams only had to bat .400 to be the best in baseball. A long, clear, and indisputable record of perhaps 3 million words is proof of the accuracy of my work that has now been learned and carried on by many others around the world. We call this map making. My record can be found in my two books, Crossing the Rubicon, The Decline of the American Empire at the End of the Age of Oil, and Confronting Collapse, the crisis of energy and money in a post-peak oil world. It can be found in the 8-year archives of my former newsletter, From the Wilderness, and it can be found on the blog that bears my name, which has now been moved here into CollapseNet. Regardless of what one believes or wants to believe, one ignores an 80% accuracy rate at their own peril. If a person or group of people are right that often, one should want to know what they know and see what they see. It has been my personal ambition for many years to pass along and teach these skills of map making to as many as possible before my time came to leave this really screwed up planet. What the film Collapse and Facebook have shown me is that I have succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. Collapse premiered to the world at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 12, 2009. That film was based upon my book, Confronting Collapse, and I am the only person in the film, which has been heralded by some critics as a pick for the best documentary at the 2011 Academy Awards. The overwhelmingly and almost universally positive reviews given the film by the likes of Roger Ebert, Variety, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Times, USA Today, Entertainment Weekly, The Los Angeles Times, and many more revealed a picture that was quite different from the one that sustainability activists had accepted as their place in the world. This had been the second agenda item for corporate-owned mainstream media, to make us believe that no one understood, that no one was listening. Mainstream media has now failed on both counts. We are not isolated. We are not ineffective. We are not few in number. We have only been made to feel defeated, isolated, and ineffective. Our message is simple, persuasive, and irrefutable, and CollapseNet is proof of that. My logic in the film was clear and compelling. The data I presented remain unquestioned and unchallenged. The beliefs that I expressed and the arguments I presented are shared by and have resonated with many people around the world. Instead of just the few I was hoping for, we have found many, possibly even millions, who clearly see the issues the same clear and simple way. For those with the intellectual courage and concern to ask what kind of a world would be left to future generations, the release of the movie was a watershed moment. By the spring of 2010, after being downloaded from illegal and unpoliceable websites, Collapse had been viewed more than 1.4 million times around the world. One site boasted of more than 700,000 downloads before it was luckily forced to suspend operations. As many as 15 more sites remained active, each happily listing the number of times the film had been downloaded. This is another reality of a disintegrating economic paradigm. The way money works is changing without our permission, and we must adapt to that too. There was more confirmation that we had struck a chord in the heart of mankind as my personal Facebook page for Michael C. Ruppert and the movie's Facebook page experienced an avalanche of growth, particularly from countries hardest hit by collapse thus far. At the time of this recording, the movie's Facebook page has almost 5,200 worldwide fans, and I have almost 1,000 personal friends. I do. The messages of support and gratitude that have come in have revealed groups and even small communities around the world who have known what was coming for a while now and have begun to prepare for it. To every lifeboat builder or would-be lifeboat builder out there, you are not alone. To everyone who thought we were isolated and could not find each other, I am here now to tell you that CollapseNet is the end of your isolation, of our isolation. There are a million pieces to this puzzle of how our species might survive. For the map makers thus far, our problem is that we've been trying to assemble pieces to a giant jigsaw when we have no idea what the final picture is supposed to look like. With our eyes open, all of us who understand what is happening frequently move through our days asking, how could we replace that? Where would the food be grown? How could we obtain or purify fresh water? How can we deal with the inevitably heartbreaking decisions that will have to be made? There are a lot of very smart people out there working on these problems all over the world. We need to know what is being done, where and by whom. We need to link our efforts and to share our experience. That will make us all learn faster. It will help us all evolve. We are the advocates for those who will follow and inherit what we leave behind. If you know of an alternative currency in Albuquerque or want to know about it, if you know of